Welcome to the place where we live the salt and lake life. Every day is a good day to fish, and in addition to catching the finest spins our state has to offer, it's also National Safe Boating Week.
So ride along with us. We're right here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hello, everyone. We hope you had a fantastic Mother's Day weekend full of big catches and time well spent with loved ones. Rick is back along with a very special guest and our new sponsor, FrontRunner Boats. Rick, you had a very busy week.
You aren't kidding, Brie. You know, we were in Mexico. We were down there filming a Sportsman's Adventure episode for 2024.
Wow.
And then we came back and we went and toured the FrontRunner facility up in St. Augustine.
Heard.
And we got more of that as the show gets going, so we might want to get moving.
All right, well, before we hit up our first region, let's say hi to Dave at the workbench. Dave, you have a friend over with you today.
Yeah.
Lots of orange.
I'm usually pretty nervous around a large fella in a uniform, but
not him.
He's Jeff. He's a good gentle giant. So he's going to talk a little bit about boater safety, and I'm going to talk a little bit about getting out of the way of a hurricane.
There we go. Those are good things to talk about.
Yep.
All right, let's start this week off in the Star Tribal Middle Fresh region with Matt Loescher on Richland Chambers, Sam Rayburn, and Toledo Bend. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Brie. Hey, Rick.
Hey,
got a lot to talk about here in the Middle Fresh region. It's getting hot over here. It's getting hot outside. Temperatures in the air are almost 90 now some days, and the fishing's heating up as well. So I'm going to get right to it with the largemouth bass starting off this week. We're going to start off at Richland Chambers. I spoke with Mr. Thurman Selman this week at Bass Specialty Guide Service, and he tells me that the big fish have slowed down just a little bit on Chambers, but he says many of the fish are still hanging really shallow, so still a fun shallow bite up there. The fish are primarily post-spawn now, and they're spending a lot of time chasing bluegill away. So this is a great time to throw those big Berkeley topwater plugs and get the attention of a big one. The finesse worm pattern is also still working quite well, especially later in the day. You know, it's a little more consistent. If they're not chasing as much, go for that finesse worm, rigged weightless, throw it around those shallow areas, and you'll get those big girls' attention. Now, over on Sam Rayburn, it's been all over the board there. The fish have been caught shallow, deep, and everywhere in between. The lake's been on the rise again this week. The level was about 9 inches over pool when I checked earlier, so it's real high still. The water temperature is hanging out in the 70s. And there was a big tournament there last weekend. It took a 2-day total of 45 pounds to win that one. So as usual, some big fish coming out of Rayburn, but there are many different patterns being utilized to catch them right now. The shallow bite is still hanging on. You know, we still got some shad spawn happening first light in the mornings. And then that higher water level is going to hold those fish shallower even all day long. There's going to be some of them up there shallow later into the year like this with that high water. So don't forget about the shallow bite, but the offshore bite has been productive as well. Out on the points and flats with a crankbait and Carolina rig. So just keep an open mind and fish your strengths. If you're an offshore guy, you can do it. If you love beating the bank, you can get up there and do that as well. Now at Toledo Bend, it's a similar story. The water level has gotten all the way up above full pool level now. We're about 6 inches over pool at this point, and the water temperature's in the upper 70s. I even saw some 81-degree water this afternoon. So it's really warming up. And there's a lot of generation happening at the dam. They're moving a lot of water through the dam right now. That's helping with the offshore bite for those fish that have already made their way out there. That current positions them, gets them feeding. But just like on Rayburn, that higher water level holds a lot of those fish still shallow as well. So it's a tale of two bites. You got the ones that are the holdouts that want to be shallow around those cypress trees and grass, so you can keep catching those on the frogs and stuff like that up shallow. And then offshore, Carolina rigs are king. Throwing in the shaky head and the crankbait some as well. Once again, just fish your strengths and stick to what you like to do, whether it's deep or shallow. Now, switching species over to crappie. They've been schooling up on Toledo Bend as well. A little bit better this week out on the offshore stuff. It's still not full-blown offshore summertime just yet, but they are more and more getting out deep. 15 to 25 feet of water around the stumps, the bridge pilings, and even the docks have been good. That panfish assassin, the tiny shad and the monkey milk color continues to be my best bait again this week, but the live minnow bite has begun to improve. And speaking of minnow bite, I got a photo here for you of Miss Cheryl Dorman with two big old slabs that choked down some minnows past weekend. She caught a lot of good fish that day, and we had a blast. Now, over at Sam Rayburn, I'm also hearing that the offshore bite for the crappie has improved this week. They're beginning to school up out there around the brush and the timber in about 15 to 25 feet. And they're biting minnows and jigs. Look for those fish to be showing up. They're just getting out there. So look for them to be showing up on places this week where they might not have been last week. Now, last but not least, I'm going to throw in some white bass real quick. Still talking about Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. All that high water and current running through the lakes right now with all the rainfall we've had has really fired up those white bass out on the main lake in the points and the flats, about 10 to 20 feet of water. Spoons are the ticket for catching those. Just jerk it up, jig it real aggressively right off the bottom, and they'll try to jerk it out of your hand. They're a blast to catch, so get out there and enjoy some of that action.
Matt, you did great. As always, we really appreciate you each and every week, especially when you get to start us off like you did and get to see your pretty face. Give those babies and families kisses for us, and we will talk to you after we get done reading the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Middle Fresh region. Our captain says that the big bass continue to be caught shallow at Richland Chambers. The crappie bite is heating up at Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn, and the white bass are biting on Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn as well. So don't forget, both lakes are on fire.
Thank goodness. All right, trout lovers, it's time to get ready for some topwater action in the Fish Bites Middle Coast region with Captain Bink Grimes. Tell us more, Bink.
Stiff southerly breezes, they pumped up our tides and they pushed those trout tighter to the shorelines for waders working the reefs and sand and grass. This week, we've had really light wind, and we're looking forward to maybe a surf bite, a first surf bite of the year. In Palacios, Guide Ray Section said the trout bite's been excellent while wading. He's worked the south shoreline of West Bay most day, and most of those trout have been hanging about 40 to 50 yards off the shoreline. Then in Matagorda, Michael Roth, he's been drifting with live shrimp. High tides has him tight to the shoreline. He's working the shell, making long floats around slicks and flipping mullet for trout to 5 pounds. Then at Port O'Connor, Lynn Smith, he's been doing great on protected shorelines for solid trout. Most of those fish have come on soft plastic. Smith said the topwater bites picked up as well. Our water temperature running 75 to 78, and it's really heated it up, man. It's my time of year with the topwaters, and we've been banging them pretty good. Around Freeport, Bastrop, and Christmas Bay, there's fish all over the reef. Best bite's been on live shrimp, casted around the edges. A lot of black drum in those same areas. Those influx of tide, they brought in some of those Gulf trout or large sand trout. Fish to 2 pounds is not uncommon this time of year, as those Gulf trout are riding that incoming tide from the ocean. Though targeted by a lot of speckled trout fishermen, they will readily hit a soft plastic or a live shrimp. I've never seen a Gulf trout hit a topwater, but they will readily hit a soft plastic. Rockport anglers, they've been doing well around super flats on small topwaters, worked over sand and grass. Then the Corkies and Mirror soft dines have worked just as well. Photo there, that's Chef Rick Rosher. He took some time off from his lodge duties and caught some nice trout in East Matagorda Bay. And Rosser and his crew released all those trout, and we appreciate that. Redfish, there's a lot of shrimp in our bay. Our bay shrimpers have had no problem keeping tanks full. When that's the case, fishing normally turns on. We got a southeast breeze right now, and it just feels good. You can tell the barometer is low, and fish are eating. The same pattern has been good around Palacios and Matagorda. Crab Lake, Oyster Lake, Coon Island are holding redfish on live shrimp. Tides are really high, and most of those fish are right on top of that shelf. Waders have found redfish tight to the shorelines. Small shrimp hide in that grass with the high tides, and those reds are literally get in there and root them out with your nose. If you see a shrimp hopping in that grass, it's a good chance there's a redfish right behind it. Best bet right now for big reds is along the beach, and there's also a bunch of slot size reds in the first gut. Bull redfish are good on the deep side of the second sandbar and right off the tip of the jetty. Surfside Port O'Connor jetties are holding big bull reds right now. A lot of those bull red fishermen have caught some small tarpon this week as well around the Port O'Connor jetty. Some are using crack crabs, some are free lining big old Gulf shrimp. There's a lot of big old white Gulf shrimp right on the beach right now, and that's why we're kind of looking forward to a good topwater bite in the surf this weekend. Offshore, Freeport, guide Mike Siegel, Real Field Charter said red snapper has really been good in state waters. He's still dropping sardines and shad in 35 to 40 foot of water. A lot of sharks out there as well. Michael Quebeca said the ling and amberjacks are showing, and those red snappers right out of Matagorda are in the 10 to 15 pound range. He's been chasing big schools of redfish and sharks near the beach. Cobia and kingfish are showing up. Our Gulf, like I said, our Gulf waters are about 77 to 78. Some might hit 80 this weekend with temps in the 90s. So it ought to be good. Wahoo are also on the deeper rifts and the trash lines. So it's with heating up, it's beginning to feel a whole lot more like summer here along the Middle Coast. We ask you to please take care of our fisheries and release more than you take.
Thank you so much. Good advice for this weekend, Bink. We're going to go and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Our guide says that the trout are good in Port O'Connor on top waters on the incoming tide. The bull reds are good at the jetties in Matagorda, Port O'Connor, Port Aransas, and at Freeport. So check out those jetties. Sounds like the place to be, Brie.
Oh, yeah. All right, the Upper Fresh region is swimming at us next. But first, Dave is talking with our friend from the Coast Guard for National Safe Boating Week at the workbench for rigs and techniques. Gentlemen.
Yep, we are. We're going to talk about some safety. Got to stay safe. You know?
Always.
Yep. So,
That's right.
Jeff's going to show us how to stay safe. I've failed at it miserably.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio Sunglasses. Blue light blocking. Radically clear lenses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, we're here at Rigs and Techniques, and we got Jeff Barnes from the Coast Guard here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about, how we can keep our boat safe and, the things that we need to have on there to make sure that the man doesn't come down upon us
Well,
when he pulls us over. So what do we got going here, Jeff?
all right, so starting the 20th is
Boating Safety Week.
National Safe Boating Week. It goes to the 26th. And in the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Auxiliary, we're always talking about how to be safe on the water. And so a part of that is going to be taking a class, if you haven't taken a class.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's going to be getting a vessel safety exam.
Right.
So on your vessel safety exam, the biggest things we always are concerned with are making sure you have the flares and that they're in date, making sure you have the right amount of life
PFDs.
jackets on board, and making sure that you have, especially the Type 4, this throwable one.
The one that you can throw to people.
A lot of people forget about to have those on board.
And it's easy because you can get one that's a seat.
Exactly.
So that's one you shouldn't forget. for
Exactly.
sure.
Having a sound producing device. So that could be your horn, that could be a whistle, it could be, things like that. And then electronic flares have become, this is brand new. I just got this one. It's $85 and it comes with this flag. So this acts as your nighttime beacon, right?
Right.
And then this, in order to have that and consider that a flare, you got to have this flag. This flag is the
This
international.
is for your day shape for your distress.
Exactly. So you put this on the top of your T-top, or if someone's coming by, you can say, "Hey, help!" And everyone should understand when you're on the water, have that this is your someone in distress. Now, the other thing
we should all know that because I didn't. I didn't even know that that's what that meant. So that's a cool thing to know.
and if you want to get a vessel check, all you got to do is go to cgaux.org. And you can find someone to give you an exam. We can come to you, or you can go to one of our mini blitzes that we have. Mm-hmm. And you can also sign up for the Boat America course.
Right.
And we all seen the videos these days of people running aground or missing the markers. And that's just basic boater knowledge.
You got to have the license to catch a fish, but not drive a boat. It baffles me to this day.
And so a lot of that information and knowledge comes from, number one, taking a course.
Right.
And so, and taking a course is one thing, and if you have everything that's on your boat, you get this cool little sticker you can put on your boat.
And that might keep the guy from pulling you over the next time.
That's what I tell people when I do vessel exams is, for me, if you have me do your vessel exam, it costs nothing.
Right.
And I give you either a shopping list or a sticker, right? If you're on the water, you get caught, that might cost you some money.
Yeah,
right?
You're going to get a ticket.
So that's National Safe Boating Week. And in a couple weeks, we got the beginning of June, and that is what?
It's hurricane season. And, it's in Texas and all through the Gulf, you know, the hurricane season is a serious deal. And, you know, just because it says June to November, you know, don't try to make sure you're doing stuff before June and make sure you're doing stuff after November even, because, you know, these storms, nobody can predict Mother Nature.
Exactly.
You know, I got a couple of things. You know, a hurricane is it's the most powerful storm on the earth, and it's the only one that can be measured by atomic bombs. The last Category 5, the Irma that hit in 2017, they measured it was putting off 7 atomic bombs a minute.
Wow.
Because that's how powerful these things are.
That's crazy.
So my first thing to do is, if you can get out of the way, get out of the way. Start planning 10 days ahead of time. And when you see that thing might be coming towards you 10 days away from landfall, you need to start making your plans then.
Right.
And make your plan A, your plan B, and your plan C. If you can run and get out in front of it and get away from it, that's what you want to do.
Right.
You know, I've talked to many guys who've ridden out a hurricane on their boat. Not one of them wants to do it again. It's a terrifying thing.
Exactly.
You know, so you want to get out, prepare 10 days ahead of time. Treat every storm that's coming towards your coast like it's going to be a Cat 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The last time we had a big, you know, Harry came to Texas, it went from a Cat 0 hurricane to a Cat 4 in 2 days. 2 days.
Yep.
So, you know, you try to make sure that you think every one of them is going to be a Cat 5.
Exactly.
And even a Cat 1 can be a very dangerous storm.
Sure.
You know, depending on where you are on the coastline. You know, if you're in a really shallow area where there's a lot of shallow water in front of you, even a Cat 1 can build a nice big dome and bring that water in over the top of your dock. And if you're not in a marina with really good floating docks, good things to tie off on, then staying there is not a good idea.
Nope.
You know, you want to get out of there.
Exactly.
So, you know, my main thing to say is when you're concerning about getting when the hurricane season starts, try to make sure you have a plan to get out of front of it. You know,
Make a plan,
make a
even
plan.
way ahead of time of
Right.
where you can go, and if you can't come back, where you're going to go back to.
Right,
Exactly.
because you can't always come right back.
Exactly.
When you leave, make sure that you're putting in stuff that's saying, hey, I'm not going to be back here for a while.
Exactly. And
So-
safety is number one.
Correct. We all want to come back.
Exactly.
I know I want to come back. I was waiting for you guys to get done over there. What the hell?
We're back. But those are some great tips, gentlemen. We
Good
appreciate
job,
it. All right, the Upper Fresh region is cleaning up with all sorts of species being caught. So let's get some details with Mike McFarland. Go for it, Mike.
Hey, Brie. Hey, Captain.
Hey, buddy.
Let's tell you guys about some pretty good bass fishing we got up here in these parts. Pete Hernandez says that Lake Possum Kingdom is doing pretty well. Water temperatures are 68 to 72. And there's some stained water to clear water, depending on what part of the lake you're in, the clearest water being in the south. Topwater frogs and walking topwater baits early morning hours are working your best. Then there's also a midday bite. That topwater midday bite is happening in certain areas, so keep it out on the deck of your boat. Rock crawlers and shad cullers are catching bass between the docks and around rocks and ledges just outside spawning areas. And the main lake timber on the outside of spawning areas is also holding fish, where you can use Texas rig worms and Texas creature baits in the trees. Tawakaning. Matt Cartwright says the bass fishing is finally really picking up there. And the water's ranging 70s, low 70s, where the bass are actually very, very shallow. Lily pads are starting to really grow. And a frog bite is happening on Lake Tawakaning. That's a fun bite. Bass assassins and Cincos are also really good choice throughout the day. If you're good follow-up bait for frog missed when they miss the frog. And then you can also try square bills on the rip-rap rocks anywhere that you see shad spawn. Kerry Thorne says that Lake Lavon is also fishing good. The spinnerbait bite's still going strong early. About a half an hour after the sun comes up, it's best to switch to 3 to 6 foot square bills. Then maybe another hour or so, sun gets a little higher, switch to 12-foot diving crankbaits to finish your day. You can also run Alabama rigs and Carolina rigs. Those are working well on long flats and structure. Anything deep, real deep, that's rock piles, road beds, and brush piles, the Alabama rig or a swim bait slow rolled is also good bait. My favorite lake, home lake, Lake Fork. We got levels now of 402.07. Actually, the last 2 days of rain have brought it up 3 more inches. Upper 70s in our water temperature, and the bass fishing is really firing up here at Lake Fork. Fish are moving offshore into pre-summer locations. There still is a good shallow bite early in the morning using topwaters like popping frogs, the Berkeley jaywalker, the Berkeley bullet pop, the Berkeley Chapo, which is like a buzz topwater. Chartreuse buzz baits are working well. In fact, I start off each morning throwing the top waters. My favorite is Berkeley Jaywalker. That's a walking style bait. And once that sun gets up after an hour or two, I switch to the deeper structure. But I honestly like throwing my Abu Garcia Veritas rod with braided line and a Revo rocket reel. It really lets me make super, super long casts. I put 50-pound test braided line, and I can take that Jaywalker and throw it so much farther than you would ever expect. It covers a lot of water, and I can do it quickly. But again, when the sun's up high, I'm running football jigs and shaky heads in 12 to 16 feet of water. Best colors are brim, green pumpkin, chartreuse tailed on the green pumpkin, and then in your worms, anything in plum or plum apple. This is actually a really cool picture, a great day fishing, and this is a great fish with Mr. Mike Curry, the Director of Sales for Skeeter Bass Boats.
Nice. What a good fish.
All right, dude. Tell us
That was
about
a fun day. Let's move on to crappie. Crappie on Lake Levon is good. Still early morning bite. The fish are still shallow in 5 to 10 feet of water. As it gets going a little later after 10 o'clock, they move to structure in 12 to 20 feet. Lake Fork crappie. Jackie Wiggins says it's still on fire. Lake Fork seems to continue week after week to pretty beautiful fish and filling up the limits. Post-spawn trees, 13 to 32 feet is really beginning to load up. You can really see a lot of fish on laydowns in 14 to 24 feet, brush piles, things like that. Even the bridges are really starting to be good places to find these crappie. The bridges can be cool because if you get hot, you kind of can be under the shade when you do that. But this year, you can really catch super quick limits. In fact, here's a picture of 125 fish caught in 4 hours with Jackie Wiggins.
Nice. All right, you got a minute left, bub.
Stripers. Perry Thorne says that the Lake Levon shad spawning still. You can catch some white bass there. Just look for the birds. Matt Cartwright on Tawakoni says the same kind of thing. Shad spawn still happening on rocks in the shallow points. Stripers and hybrids are really schooling early and late. Swim baits and slabs. Let's give you another picture of some white bass that Kerry Thorne caught on Levon.
Nice. All right. Well,
And catfish.
real
Got a
quick.
quick deck. Catfish is really good. The same thing. They're starting to spawn on Levon, so real shallow, 1 to 4 foot. And anything baited holes on Lake Fork in about 18 to 25 feet. Bait the day before. Come out with some stink bait, Bubba's bait. You're going to fill your limit.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. Good, thorough report. We appreciate all your effort. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the upper fresh hotspots. Lake Fork is offering some well-rounded fishing for several species of freshwater fish. Giant bass are eating topwater lures like the Berkeley Bullet Pop. Huge crappie are easy to catch in their post-spawn and pre-summer locations. And the white bass are showing up in massive numbers offshore on the humps and the ridges. And don't forget about the catfish. They continue to be excellent in the creek and the channel bends.
What did we
Marie?
miss? Nothing.
Nothing.
What a killer hotspot that was.
Wow.
All right, coming up June 8th through 11th is everyone's favorite Lake Fork event, the Skeeter Owners Tournament. You're catching big bass, you're winning big. And this year, not only one boat will be given away, but two. An FXR Apex anniversary boat for the largest over and a ZX 150 for the largest under. This individual tournament is limited to 3 anglers per boat with a ladies and junior division as well. To register, head to skeeterboats.com. But our FrontRunner Boats Upper Coast and Lower Fresh regions have some great weekend reports coming up. Plus, we're talking with our friend from FrontRunner Boats, so stay hooked. And make sure to take a look at that QR code on your screen and scan away for an all-access pass to our social media outlets where you can like and follow our Instagram and Facebook pages, and to see all new exclusive fishing adventures, tips, and reports, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Shallow Sport, the Texas legend. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. And Penn, let the battle begin.
As you can see, joining me now is Philip Mann, the owner of FrontRunner Boats, and our new sponsor for our center console category and the title sponsor of the Upper Coast region. You know what? We're grateful for the opportunity to partner up with you. We appreciate it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about FrontRunner Boats?
Yeah, we're just Northeast Florida, two best friends that started off rehabbing boats that turned into a boat dealership, and we like being on the water, we like boats, and then we finally got to the point where we didn't like dealing with other manufacturers, so we said, let's just do it ourselves, and the rest is history. 48 months into it now, 200 employees, 6 models. Our kids are in it, our families are in it, our wives, our children, so it's been a blessing.
So let's talk a little bit about the models. What size range do we have, Philip?
So we have a 26, a 33, a 36, a 39, and a 47 monohull, and then we just debuted our first 37 catamaran.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So the one thing that I respect about what I've seen in all the new designs that you guys have had since 2019 is that you have tremendous amount of fuel capacity because you were able to build boats around current boat model motors.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so one of the luxuries we had, Mark and I, when we started the company was we knew what we wanted. We knew what was in the marketplace. We had seen the groundwork that was laid before us from the gentlemen that came before us in the industries, and we knew that the boats had to be able to accommodate what was coming from engine suppliers, as well as things like seat keepers or electronics packages. So it was as simple as I drew the shear line on a napkin, handed it to the naval architect, and said, it's got to look like this, but it's got to be able to have this much fuel, these creature comforts that people just want to see in a boat. And so whereas some of our competitors are still dealing with some older product that are trying to evolve to what the industry has now for it, we were able to just build our brand and our models around what was coming and what was here.
So where do we go to find out more information about FrontRunner Boats?
You can try our website, frontrunnerboats.com, and then we have good Instagram and good Facebook and all good social media outlets as well.
You know what else you got?
Yes, sir.
Great apparel.
Thanks.
I appreciate this new shirt.
Thank you. We're excited.
I really like it. Thank you, Brie. Let's go ahead. Where are we going next?
Well, things are looking up in our FrontRunner Boats, Upper Coast region, and Captain Carl Weston has all of the screaming real tips for us. Go for it, Carl.
Hey guys, I'd like to start out this week by welcoming our new offshore boat sponsors, FrontRunner. Being an offshore captain myself, guys, I can't wait to get my feet in one, Rick, and test it on the big pond. So, anyways, let me get back to fishing. The rain has been on and off all week. Temps have started to warm up a bit. So those reds are out early. They're chasing bait around the oyster reefs over in Galveston Bay right now. The jetties are still going to be your hot spot, though, here in the upper coast. That influx of cleaner water along the rocks on the incoming tide has been bringing bait in. You're going to want to try to find that line, where that dirty water is mixed with the cleaner Gulf water. That's where the bait's going to be, and that's where you're going to find the fish. Some of the best topwater action right now is in that little cut. And, we're using a mirror lure, Berkeley, topwater lures. The Choppa 90 always is a hit. The Magic Swimmer is great. I like to tie on about a 2-foot piece of diamond fluorocarbon in front of these lures. Just makes that line disappear, folks. It'll make a difference. Shrimp and live finger mullet are going to be your live go-to this week. Rig them on a popping cork for your best results. Give a picture today of a couple of buddies with a nice redfish.
Nice. All right, let's keep rolling. What you got, bud?
So the action at the mouth of the jetties, like I said, has not just been redfish and trout. It's heating up. The warmer temps are bringing in bigger sharks. There's black tips. A lot of people like to anchor up and fish for these. They're fun to catch on light tackle. Don't have to burn a ton of fuel. Once you get set up, throw yourself out a chum bag, set out your lines. I like to free line large mullet and shad back in the slick because you never know what you're gonna, what's gonna come to the boat first. And when I'm fishing for the sharks there, I usually mash the barb of my hook flat because I don't eat sharks. And so if I want to catch them and fight them a little bit, get them up to the boat, use a long-handled D-hooker or pliers. So these fish can be a lot of fun to fight. I use that 7-foot Fenwick rod with a pen spinner, and I just have a blast. Use that big old heavy trocar hook, like I said, mash the barb so you can get him off and not hurt him so bad. And here's a picture today of James with a nice-sized shark caught at the jetties.
Nice.
Wow.
All right, what else you got for us? Let's go a little further offshore there, bub.
Let's bump out for Dorado, and I'm gonna be going the rest of the week. And we're finally getting some nice weather, guys. This weekend looks great. That large amount of grass that's washing up on the beaches means that we've got good weed lines out there. It's going to bring Dorado, a lot of pelagics. Fishing these weed patches is fun. You know, for an angler, this is like, you know, a candy store for anglers. And the areas that these bait fish are hiding in, there's little crabs. There's so many ways of rigging for these fish in these little hot spots. Trolling is always a way to go for me. You know, I'll set out a few R&R mahi magnets, a few islanders, either rigged or naked. Another option is just stop next to that patch, throw out a little chum, Rick. And you know how anything might come to the boat. Just keep them excited. You know, tying a little gold spoon, that's hard to beat. With a small treble hook, tipped with squid or any kind of bait, little fish bites. And you're ready to go. Start bailing in them tacos into the boat. Keep your troll speed about 8 knots. Right now, that water temp's going to get you good. When you hook your first mahi, as always, try to keep one in the water close to the boat. Fish will school around him. You'll have a lot more chances at nicer fish. We have a picture today of Nancy and Mario with a beautiful mahi they just caught.
Yeah, man, looking good, dude.
Tacos.
All right, let's talk a little bit about kingfish.
Okay, kingfish in Upper Coast this week. Our water temp's coming up. The fish are coming in a little better. They're still a little small, close to the beach, but, you know, they're fun to catch. The last few years been a little slower. It's weird. But I know this season's going to be better. Like I said, with the grass lines out there, the current break, seeing a lot more bait around the surface structures and platforms. I think it's important to check out, you know, we've lost a lot of surface platforms in our area. So you need to go back old school and start checking these bottom spots we had. Rock piles, old trash piles, they're going to hold bait, and they're going to hold kingfish. They may be a little more scattered than they used to be. But, you know, when I'm bottom fishing now, I always run a free line out the back. Always seem to hook up on a king. People say, Carl, where do you catch that kingfish? Well, I was bottom fishing and decided to, you know, put out an extra line, and there they were. You know, go back to the same old, use a wire leader, get a good de-hooker. R&R makes a great de-hooker. You know, if you hit a few while you're drifting, drop that row down like we talked about. Stop right there. Rebait and get after it. Get you another one. We got a picture today of a mess of kingfish somebody caught.
All right, man. Thank you for all the pictures this week, and we'll talk to you again next week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Upper Coast FrontRunner Boats region. Inshore, targeting sharks at the end of the jetties along the channel edges while free-lining live mullet in the chum slicks. And then offshore, Brie, we're going to go troll for those Dorados along the weed lines and the grass mats in 200 feet range. And then with a mixed bag of our mahi magnets and maybe an islander for some color.
And maybe some smoked fish dip as well with all those kingfish going on. All right, let's see what we're catching on Lake Amistad, Choke Canyon, Somerville, Fayette County, and Lake Falcon, of course, in the lower Fresh region. Tell us what's good, Matt.
All right, let's get after it. Got a report from Lake Amistad. Kurt Dove sent me a report. He said the bass are totally post-spawn there. There's not any of them spawning anymore. They're post-spawn. The bluegill are beginning to spawn, which means the bass are going to relate to them, and that's where they're going to feed up. You know, there's tons of them around those beds. You can, you know, throw a general or a topwater bait around the brim beds for great action. The best bite, though, seems to be around the rocky cover with a 45-degree or steeper drop-off. That's where the best bite is. It's been on a jig or a drop shot. The grass is kind of sporadic. The hydrilla lake's down kind of low. There's not a ton of grass, and it's receiving the majority of the fishing pressure. So, you know, the grass has not really been showing off. The topwater bite is just beginning to kick off. It'll fire up soon with that clear water, and topwater bite always gets strong this time of year. Mike Bates in report from Choke Canyon. The lake level's coming up a little bit, inch by inch. And that seems to have the bass staying a lot more active in the shallow water. Most of them are coming out of 10 feet or less. Still the same moving baits have generated the most bites. Vibrating jigs, spinner baits, and shad patterns are your best. A lot of the bass that he's catching are full of 2 to 3 inch threadfin shad. Texas rig always is a good option also. Medium dive and crankbaits and bluebill colors will catch you a few bigger ones. The deep diving crankbait and Carolina rig bite has been off a little bit this week with the lake coming up. That, like I said, that's kept most of them up a little shallower. When the lake stabilizes, expect them to move back out again real soon in that 15 to 20 foot range. Just watch the water level, see if it's coming up or starting to level off to know whether to go to the shore or back out deeper. Like Somerville largemouth have been very good early in the mornings and late in the afternoon. Shallow cranks around the dam and Rocky Point have been really good. Also, green pumpkin plastics and black worms have been good in the brush piles at 10 to 15 feet of water. Fayette County's been very good. Lots of real solid fish early in the mornings on swim jigs and Texas red creature baits on the outside of the reeds. After that, mid-morning on, you want to either go to the dam or the main lake drop-offs or the rocks out in front of the discharge. Somewhere in that 15 to 25 feet of water seems to be your best bet. Carolina rig stick baits and jerk shads have been the best presentation. Lake Falcon, we're still getting a little bit of beneficial water. There is one negative to that is it scatters the fish a little bit. With some shallow and the others on the deeper rock structure, I'll take all the water I can get these days. We've been low for so long. We're still low. Every little bit helps. Choose your favorite plan of attack and get after it. Shallow spinner baits or deep cranks. Choose your poison and go find your Falcon special. Got 3 pictures this week. Old Brian Cotter with one from the Austin area. It's a really nice fish there. That's Mike Bates and one of his young lady clients there, both of them showing a big one from Choke Canyon.
Very nice.
Man.
Look at that.
Dude.
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Go get your special.
You
I
never
love it.
disappoint, Matt. I want to tell you. All right,
Let's
bud.
talk a little bit about the crappie.
Go ahead.
Lake Somerville, the crappie are very active around the marinas and brush piles. Minnows or small jigs are working on both. Limits are at your reach with or without a boat. With that marina access, that's a great way to go have a good time whether you got a boat or not. The Falcon Lake crappie, they stack back up in the man-made brush piles in that 15 to 20-foot range. 8-ounce jigs are my preferred method. Red chartreuse or Junebug chartreuse are my favorite colors. Limits are, like I said, they're easy to come by, and, man, that's a great tasting fish to put in your freezer.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hotspots. Good report this week. He says that Falcon Lake is fishing well with some bass, shallow, and others on deeper rock structure. Choose your favorite plan of attack and get after it. Shallow spinner baits and deep crank baits are probably going to be a good choice. Choose your poison and go find you a Falcon special.
I love that because you'll find them. See all those
Yeah.
pictures? They're there.
They are.
All right, the lower coast region is last up on the chop and block, so get ready to reel. But first, Dave is showing off some new products at the workbench.
Good stuff,
You're
too.
reeling.
Like rods and reels and lures and stuff.
Ooh,
Oh.
Good stuff.
Good
lures
stuff.
and rods.
Has you ever had bad stuff over there?
I don't know.
Never.
Only
not
when you
to.
had indigestion.
Ew, we'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win. Fenwick, feel everything. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. Island Lures, tournament tackle. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro lure. FrontRunner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's power pole tip of the week is becoming more stealth with your poles. Now guys, think about this. We have 3 speeds on our power poles, and the one thing that we need to understand is that we can manipulate those speeds. We can go fast, medium, or stealth mode. Now whenever I'm making a move from an oyster bar over to a point, and I know I'm only gonna pick up the poles a few inches at a time, I simply click it into the stealth mode so that I can keep the noise level down to a very, very quiet approach. Now, you guys that love to bass fish and you're fishing fish that are on beds, that approach is the same thing. Make sure that you go into the stealth mode so that you can sneak up on those beds, put your poles down, and the bass doesn't know you're there. Keep in mind that by simply manipulating the speeds through your multifunction switch or through the app using the key fob, this will make a great approach, and that's today's power pole tip of the week. Well, we're here at my favorite workbench, and we're trolling the edge with Taco Marine. You know, Dave, new products is something I look forward to every week, so let's just jump right in.
Well, we're going to start with these new H2O Express branded lures, you know, from Academy Sports and Outdoors. That's their new kick now, is the H2O Express. And this is their double willow braid spinner baits. Really nice spinner baits, high quality for the price. They're not very expensive, and they're really nice. Stainless wire, very durable. They got the 3D eyes on them, as you can see there.
Right.
Nice premium silicone skirt.
Right.
Big fat hook on there. You know, you can really pull a big fish out of the nastiness with that big hook. They come in 3 different sizes, a 1/4 ounce, a 3/8 ounce, and a 1/2 ounce size. And, you know, white and chartreuse are the ones I like.
Yes.
But you can get it in a lot of different colors.
Where are you going to go to find it?
Yep, well, you can go to Academy Sports and Outdoors.
All right.
Next, we have we have the Savage Gear Twitch Reaper.
Right.
The Reaper. Comes in 6 colors. It's a subsurface twitch bait. It's a really nice looking bait. It's got a really crisp, erratic action to it. Heavy duty hardware all over it. The hooks, line through construction. Like I said, if you know the hooks can't pull out because it's through wired all the way through there. Really nice super glow finish. A lot of molded in features, you know, around the pec fins and the face and everything. That go away, and it's just very erratic. A huge chamber in there. A lot of times, you know, they'll pack some beads in there for rattling, but they don't give them enough room to rattle around. This has a really big chamber in there, and it makes the bait, you know, stay at a subsurface, you know, really level angle. And
it's the shape of a thread fin or hair, you know, a pilchard.
And it looks just like one.
Yeah. So where do we go to find this?
Well, SavageGearAmerica.com.
All right.
Americas.com.
Okay.
Next, we have the safety stop kill switches. You know, we were talking about it's Boater Safety Week, and, you know, if you're going to be out on the water, you definitely should be using your kill switch. And this is one that's made by TH Marine Supplies. And it's good for all boats. It's it's legal. You know, it satisfies all the Coast Guard requirements. Extra strong, really nice lanyard. It's really long, so and
so
it's
you can still move around.
Yeah, you can get away from it a little farther than the normal ones. Exactly, and you know, you keep one, you know, keep that thing attached to your life vest, and you know, anything happens to you, you get ejected from the boat, heaven forbid, or you know, something happens, it'll shut off that motor and it keep that boat from spinning around and get you. I actually did a PSA for the Coast Guard one time. A really horrible story about what happened when that kind of thing can happen to you. You want that motor to shut off if you're not in control of the boat, and that's how you do it with a nice kill switch.
And where do we go to find that one?
THMarineSupplies.com.
All right.
All right. Last but not least, we got the Fierce 4 spinning combo, a really affordable combo that Penn's come out with. The rod is a graphite composite blank. It's a 7-foot, 1-piece with stainless steel 1-piece guides. I'd love to have steel guides, man, because I don't have those little inserts that come out all the time or that'll break and stuff. So I'm a big fan of those, the 1-piece stainless steel Dura guides, and it's got really nice EVA grips on it.
Yeah.
You know, the reel is a full metal body and the side plate as well. Has line capacity rings on there and the Superline spool. It's got sealed ball bearings, so you could, you know, the bigger ones you can fish in the surf. The little ones you don't have to worry about dunking them too much. It's got the Penn HT 100 drag system as well, and a 6.21 gear ratio. Hauls in 37 inches in a turn.
Wow.
So yeah, so you can really, you know, if you've got you know, like that twitch bait on there, you can really crank it and get it in there.
Pretty heavy duty bail.
Nice heavy duty bail. I always that's one of my big things because I, you know, don't take as good care of my stuff. I throw them all into the back of the truck, and the little bales get messed up if they're not.
Where do we go to
duty.
find this one, Dave?
Well, you go to penreels.com. Penfishing.com. I'm sorry.
Man, that's all right. Bree.
Hey, you pack that workbench up and you're ready to fish.
That's it. He's ready to
Some
go.
good stuff over there. All right, the inshore game is strong in the lower coast region, so get ready to reel in the memories with Captain Chad Kinney. Go for it, Chad.
I'll tell you what, the weather forecast, plays a big part, but we are looking really, really solid for the next couple of weeks. So I'll be getting some better reports even coming in for the bay and offshore, expecting some overnight tuna fishing trips coming in and a bunch of good stuff. But we'll go ahead and start with the inshore right now. Corpus Christi, head out to the wellheads there for some trout action that's really getting turned on up there. And some redfish. They've kind of moved in from the flats out to some deeper water, kind of up in the land cut there and out to Port Mansfield here. They moved into some deeper stuff. So starting first on that trout bite, like I said, out of Corpus Christi, it's good by those wellheads. Live croaker, they're feeding on live croaker really well right now. It's the time of season. The croaker are going to slowly start getting bigger. We've been talking about this, but right now it's the time of year. So free line those live croaker. Right now I'd use a 5-aught Eagle Claw tail hook and use that with a 30 to 40 pound Momoy mono leader at least, or you can get up a little bit bigger than that, but 30 to 40 should be plenty on that. You can also add a chatterweight. Main thing for this one, your main line, and attach it to your Momoy leader. What it does, it adds a little weight down there and help that bait get down a little bit deeper because some of those wellheads are pretty deep. And also when you kind of twitch that bait to get that bait moving and croaking and going, they're going to attract some noise there. So little trick too, when you put that chatterweight on to your Eagle Claw tail hook down there, maybe do like a 12-inch max, about leader between the two. So when you're making that noise and stuff, it's right there with the croaker, and they'll get attracted to it and you hit a lot better. Live shrimp and a popping cork. Up there in Corpus, guys, you got some live shrimp. Down here we don't, but up there's plenty of live shrimp. So live shrimp and popping cork are working really well also. Got a great picture of a oversized trout down here released, which is a great thing. So those big guys release them really good and solid like that one.
Nice.
So moving to redfish, guys, it's kind of why you listen to the reports here. We were talking about them in the flats and that. Well, the guys have moved into the deeper water from land cut to Port Mansfield. I think part of this reason is we got a lot of boat traffic coming on during the summertime, and they're in the flats, and they're going to push down that deeper water and kind of adapt to the surroundings around them. So look for these fish in that 4 to 6 foot of water around grass beds, drop-offs. Like I said, they're hard to find when you get in that deep water like that. It's not like you can sight cast. You can't really see them unless it's really flat calm. They come to the top. So make really long drifts with a live shrimp and popping cork really good. If you're throwing some lures, take a saltwater assassin sea shad, and you're going to have to get a slow retrieve and probably a heavier jig head. Instead of 1/8 ounce, maybe go to 1/4 ounce, bounce it off the bottom and the edges of the grass. Key thing there is make really long drifts, and once you locate the fish, you catch 1, 2, or 3, kind of drift out, get away, don't motor up right away, but then circle back through and try to do a repeat so you can get back on the fish. Moving over to mangrove snapper, we don't talk a whole bunch about these guys. We catch them offshore, but primarily also in the bay around the lower coast jetties, also up in that Brownsville ship channel. Try some smaller pieces of the fish bites for bait. You can free line that stuff, but also I think it's a little bit better. You put a little split shot on it and a weight added to it. Work those eddies and the rocks around the jetties, or if you're around the Brownsville ship channel, then definitely work the structure, like your pilings and stuff around there. Especially that's a good area in the Brownsville ship channel. If you get some higher winds, like the past few weeks we've had, get in there, hide from the winds. Conditions are protected over there like that, and you get a lot better. You can target those mangroves. Moving offshore, I still get a lot of calls in this. State water season, snapper season is open for red snapper, but the federal water season's up around the corner, a few weeks away. Just in June 1st will open up, but state water is open year-round. So right now it's really turned on. It's been good. Head up to the bottom structure in state waters. The bites really turned on. We've been really hammering them quick. The currents of late been a little bit strong, so instead of the jigging like we talked about right now, with the current stronger like that, drop down to the double bottom rig with an Eagle Claw 12-aught circle hook. The fish have been hugging to the bottom with those higher currents. They're going to suck down to the bottom. They won't be suspended too much because they can't hold in the currents. So keep your baits right on the bottom and keep your line taut. When you feel that bite, go ahead and start reeling. You'll hook them on the side of the mouth. Like I said, in these higher current conditions, it really helps. You got a bay boat like an X3 shallow sport I've got. You hit that Rodan trolling motor in anchor lock mode, and it's money. It just puts you right on top of your rock. You can move it where you need to, re-anchor it, position it, and it works really, really good, and you get that bite going.
All right, Chad, so I just want to know, I'm negotiating your new FrontRunner boat, so you want 3 engines or 4?
I want 4, and I want the 47.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, Blake.
Done the research.
We'll take care of it. We'll give you an update next week. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the shallow sport boats, hot spots from the lower coast region. He says inshore Corpus Christi Bay at the wellheads, there is good trout bite on live croakers. Head further south in the land cut for the good trout action. And the redfish have been holding in 4 to 6 feet of water around the grass beds and the drop-offs. And then if you guys want to go offshore and some of that pretty weather he talked about, state water snapper bite is good in federal waters to open on June 1st.
There's a lot of talk about people getting new FrontRunner boats. look at Dave and I. What do we get?
I think, Brie, I think that you would look
At least
absolutely
Chad can
perfect
pay
in
for
the
it, that's
26 with twin, 200 Yamahas on there. I think
Yeah,
that
Dave.
would really
What
work
about
real
Dave?
well
What's he
for
gonna
you.
look good in? My boat.
Dave just
I'm
looks,
riding Brie.
Dave looks good in anything.
He really does.
He's
though.
just so seasoned looking.
So seasoned.
I look salty,
You
don't I?
absolutely are.
Yeah.
Well, I am very happy to have them on board, that's for sure. They're a great family, great business, and we're excited to be partners with them. Be safe out there, guys. National Safe Boating Week. Make sure you pay attention. And we're going to be here next week. Talking
Yeah.
about what?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, stay with us and we'll let you know what that's going to be. Thanks for your help, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Throwing
Hosted
questions
by
with no
Brie
answer.
Gabrielle.